Hopping in at the beginning of this video, this is what all we're going to be making today. And I did want to let you know that I'm participating in a pantry challenge. I've been participating since the beginning of September. And with this challenge, I am making sure to use only food that I have in my house. So for this entire set of meals, I did not go grocery shopping at all. I used only things in my house, and on to the making. Welcome back, it's Carrie and this is Keep It Simple DIY. Today I am going to be making some freezer meals. My freezer stash is getting pretty low. We've had our fridge out. I've had a lot of dizziness because of my ears. I'm dizzy today, so I'm going to see how far I can get, but I need some food in my freezers. That way I don't have to cook every day. So I am going to start off by making some chicken chili in the crock pot. I've already opened everything and got it ready, so I'm going to add in 2 pints of chicken. And this is why I really love having canned food. It makes it so easy to just dump and go on meals. And I could do this any day, really, but if I have this and it's in my freezer ready to go, it'll make it so much easier. This is some beans. I think they're navy beans. And then I'm adding in some corn and onions, a little bit more broth, green chilies, some garlic, and then I am still trying to use up all of my shelf-timber things. So I have this lime crema sauce and I'm going to just add the rest of it in here. Okay, some salt, pepper, chili powder, and cumin. And the last thing we need to do is add the cream cheese in. Okay, we are 1 recipe in. That was pretty quick and easy. I'm just going to give this a stir, and then I do have my crock pot and Instapot set up on the other end of the counter. I do have 4 cups of rice cooking in the Instapot right now because I'm going to need that for some recipes. I'm gonna go stick this on high and just let it cook away. Okay, 1 recipe down. Who knows how many more to go. I'm definitely feeling worse as it's getting a little later in the day, which, I mean, it's like 5 minutes later, but we'll see. I'm going to be making some red curry soup. I've made this recipe a ton of times before and we really like it. I'm doing it a little bit differently today because I actually had some Thai basil in my yard. I hadn't ever grown Thai basil before and I have just a little bit, so I'm going to use that in it today, and that'll give it definitely a little bit of a different flavor. So we'll see what we think of that. It does start with an onion, and I'm going to use this last of the onions that were sprouting. So that's good. We're still using up all the things. And this is a great way to use up the zucchini and squash as well. So I'm just going to get this diced and get it start sauteing, and then I will cut up the veggies. I'm gonna get this in the pot, sauteing with a little bit of oil. You'll be happy to know that I made sure to not have it on too high of a heat like I did last time. All right, I think we're at the time of the season where we've got some squash bugs. I don't think I've ever had squash bugs before, but you know, I'm not mad about it because we have so many squashes and zucchinis this year. So I'm just going to cut off the parts that the bugs got to enjoy. I was like, what is that? That's the rice. Let it come. I wanted to let the steam out because I didn't want it to overcook. Okay, a little bit going in. wash that. It is what it is. It'll get cooked. And my plan here is to double up on this recipe, either do 1.5 times or 2 times. I have the Thai basil from the garden and some cilantro that was also from the garden, but I had it frozen. I'm going to give it a rough chop and then add some green onions from the garden also into this pile. This is definitely a different smell on this basil than what I've ever had before. So this will be interesting how it turns out in the soup. And I am substituting. This calls for peppers instead of zucchini, and I'm using zucchini because peppers don't really get along with me. Okay. While those veggies are sauteing, I am going to get everything cut up for the next recipe, which is butter chicken. And I'm going to cut up this measly little onion that I have from the garden. And then a few carrots and zucchini and the chicken. Ooh, this is a strong onion. The other one didn't make me cry at all. Oh my. I already peeled all of these carrots. These are part of the carrots that I'm going to either use or preserve really shortly. Oh my, that onion. I need to get rid of the onion. Put it in the pan. Such a sad onion. Back to chopping these tops off and bottoms off. Okay, carrots going in the pot. I haven't turned the heat on yet. I think I'm going to turn it on as soon as I put these in. Okay, zucchini is next. Alright, we're starting to get some good sauteing going on here. All these are soft, so I'm going to throw in the rest of the ingredients. I'm going to start with some garlic. And ginger. And because that wants some liquid, I'm going to actually throw in some of the liquids first. And then I'm going to put in 3 pints of chicken, and the chicken has some broth in it as well. Okay, we're going to need some salt and pepper. Good amount of salt there. Some fish sauce and then lemon juice. All of the herbs. And then we're going to put in 2 cans of coconut milk and then some red curry paste. Okay, the recipe calls for 3 tablespoons, but I always like to do more and I'm doubling the recipe. I also am going to be using this curry paste over there, so let me calculate real quick. So I think I'm going to use 3/4 of the jar. Wait, tablespoons and ounces. I was looking at that incorrectly. Maybe not that much. We can always add more later, but we can't take out, so I'm just going to go with about that much. A couple spoonfuls. But I am just going to let it simmer for a bit because there's probably a big clump somewhere that needs to dissolve. Let's stir this one while we're at it. Probably could have this heat higher now. I added some garlic in here because I realized I had forgotten to add garlic. So our chicken's getting there. I'm going to give it a second and just let some of this liquid cook out. I did put the lid on it so that it would kind of steam the chicken a bit. If I was really trying, I would have let the chicken brown on the bottom of the pan. I would have taken out all of these veggies, but that is not in my capabilities today with my dizziness. I'm just get it done and it'll taste just fine. And then over here, our pot of curry soup is looking fantastic. It's definitely looking red now, and I did realize I forgot to add brown sugar. So, whoops. Well, we're gonna add some brown sugar to the counter and the pot. There we go. This, I'm just gonna let simmer for a little bit. So it's definitely not even close yet, not hot enough to melt the cream cheese, but we are getting somewhere. I'm going to make the sauce for the buttered chicken. I normally wouldn't make this sauce in a separate bowl, but the chicken's not ready for the sauce and I'm ready to make the sauce, so that's what I'm doing. I'm adding 1 can of coconut milk, and then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons. You know, I just realized I'm doubling the chicken and not doubling the sauce. Okay, almost forgot I'm doubling this. So 2 cans of coconut milk, then 2 tablespoons of the red curry paste. Okay, 2 little cans of tomato paste. Some ginger. A little bit of sugar. Some apple cider vinegar. This bowl is so full. And then I'm going to add curry powder and garam masala, quite a bit of each of these. And then a little bit less of turmeric. even less of cayenne, and then a little salt. And we'll see how we can mix it up in this bowl. This is kind of funny. Okay, all of that with another bowl, and I could have just put it all right in here to begin with. So let's see if we can carefully dump that in without spilling. I'm going to let the butter chicken come up to temperature, and then I'll give it a taste test. In the meantime, our curry soup is now boiling. I'm looking at the color, I'm thinking it might need a little bit more curry powder, but I'm going to give it a taste test. I'm choking on it. Definitely needs a little bit more. And that works out because I have a little bit left in this jar that I didn't know what I was going to do with, so we'll just add it in here. And that'll clean out the jar. The buttered chicken and curry soup have been on the stove cooling for a little bit. My husband and I just had lunch. I had the curry soup, he had the buttered chicken. I've decided that I'm going to actually put these in the freezer in individual size meals. And that way we can just kind of pick what we want, and if there's a night where we don't want to eat the same thing, we can just pick anything. And I've been using glass containers in my fridge anytime I do freezer meals, but years ago I would use these little plastic ones. This one's wet because I rinsed it because it was in the basement. And I'm going to use these again. I used to use these all the time and then bring one of these with me every day for lunch. But this time I'm going to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to use these and just fill my freezer with them so we can eat different food on different days. So I am right now just kind of chopping through the rice a little bit. Everything's still warm, but not hot. And I'm going to add rice into each of these containers, and then I will fill them with either of those two meals. And we'll see how much we end up with. I might end up having to use some of the glass containers as well, which is totally fine. So I think I'm going to do the soup in these 2-cup containers, or I mean, is that 2 cups? No, that has to be more than that, because I think this is a 2-cup one. Does it say? $1.25 cups, so this is probably 2.5 cups. This is 2 cups. Okay, so 2 cups is gonna be the soup, and we'll just do the soup first. And we'll see how much we end up with left. Now, I didn't add the rice specifically to the soup because then the rice, Carrie, that's fine. Because if I added the rice to the soup, it would just soak up all of the soup. I've done that before. And so I wanted to make sure to put the rice in kind of at the last possible second before I stick them in the fridge. Might be a little too much rice. And I don't want a ton of rice in these, but I do want it to be kind of broken up. Yeah, this is a lot of soup. I'm going to use way more than just these. But we'll start with these. Okay, now my special trick that I love is, where is it? There it is. It's in the wrong spot. Wet erase marker to label on them. It comes off as soon as they get wet. Okay, I'm gonna put these in the freezer, and then I have still like half the amount of soup, and that's after I ate it for lunch and put it in here. Okay, so I opened the freezer and it was blowing out air because, you know, blowing out the cold air, but the air smelled like peanut butter because in a different video I'm actually making some protein bars and peanut butter balls, breakfast balls with like chia seeds and oats. And the peanut butter smell is like coming out through the freezer. So that's hilarious. Okay, maybe I'll just do like a couple meals worth in these. There's still more soup. Okay, 2 larger curry soups. Okay, maybe these little ones. This is so much soup. All right, I think with the rest of this, I'm going to see if I can fit it in this mug. This is what I ate lunch out of and I just didn't finish because I put too much in there. Hopefully this will all fit in there. And this will just be what I eat out of today. Add a little bit of rice to it. It'll probably soak all that rice up, but that's okay. Or the rice will soak up all the liquid. It's not gonna soak up the rice. Okay, 1 down. We're gonna try 8. I'm just gonna use my hands. Okay, this worked out perfectly. I got exactly 8 little tiny portions. Why didn't you tell me I left that open? Okay, buttered chicken. Okay, in the freezer. Okay, I'm over here and I was checking in on the chili. It's looking good. It definitely didn't have a ton of flavor, so I just added a half a can more of the chilies, and I'm going to add a little bit of cheese powder. I would typically add cheese, but I really don't feel like shredding some cheese, and I have this cheese powder, so I feel like it'll do the trick. Let's see. Okay, we definitely have a little bit more flavor now, but not a ton. So I think I'm actually going to put the entire second can in. Hopefully I don't regret that and it turns out too spicy. But like, what am I gonna do with the rest of it if I don't? So I don't want to taste the piece specifically with a chili. I want to taste some without. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna let this cool down for just a little bit and then I'll package it up. All right, last thing of the day that I'm making is going to be some burritos. I already had just some ground beef browning and I've got salt and pepper that I put in there. I was too lazy to grab extra salt, so I used partially just garlic salt and that'll be just fine. I just put some steak seasoning in there. And I'm just going to do simple whatever I have in the house ingredients for this. I'm going to use some potatoes, the leftover rice, some cheese, and then some cheese sauce, and maybe some Worcestershire. Funny thing, I didn't want to cut up some cheese for the chili, but I had to just cut up cheese for these burritos. So I could have cut up cheese for both, but that's all right. Okay, the ground beef is just about cooked, so I am going to throw in the diced potatoes. These ones are kind of gray because they're the purple potatoes. And I'm also going to add a jar of diced onions. And then all of the leftover rice that we made today. I have a little tiny bit of this queso left. I'm going to add it in as well. I'm going to add all of this cheese that I cut up. And because why not, I'm going to add some Worcestershire. Quite a bit. Okay. I now need to carefully mix this all together. Okay. I'm going to let that sit for a minute and I'll get heated up. Okay, we are nearing the end. I've let the chili cool off for a little bit. It's still kind of steamy, but I'm tired of waiting, so I'm going to package it up. I'm using the glass containers here, and this will be like 2 or 3 meals for, depending on which one of us, how much we're hungry and all of that. So by meals, I mean like each of us, like I would eat and he would eat, and that would be 1. I should say servings, not meals, because I mean really this whole thing would be a meal if we each ate half of it. I don't even know if I could eat that much, so I like to think of things in servings. We don't always eat at the same time in this house, and we definitely don't always eat the same thing. We don't have like a set dinner time, and that's just because our schedules don't align to do that. And so it works just fine to have freezer meals and have us each eat different things at different times. I did do a little taste test, and I actually liked the flavor of this without adding any extra sriracha or anything, so that's what we're gonna go with. I am going to fill up some tortilla shells. Ooh, that's a lot. Maybe not overfill it. We want to be able to actually eat the whole thing. And I did let that cool for quite a while before I got around to rolling them. All right, we did it. We got a ton of food made, all while feeling dizzy. I'm actually not feeling as terrible as I have the last week. I still am definitely in my head. My ears are clicking and popping, but I ate some spicy food today, which has helped a little bit. And I just made myself get up and get going. Sometimes that's the hardest part. So let me tell you everything that we got. We got our 3 bigger portions of chili. Oh my gosh, the cat's over there on his hind legs looking up at the light. Anyways, 3 bigger portions of chicken chili. This is probably 3 servings each container, maybe 2. So this is somewhere between 6 to 9 servings. And we got our curry soup, which I doubled the recipe because I love this recipe. I make it every year, at least once. It's my favorite curry soup recipe. So I got 5 little individual containers that are square, 2 individual containers that are rectangular. I got my 1 for the fridge, and then I got 2 larger containers, which is probably 2 to 3 servings in each. So all together, what is that? That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 probably because of this. And then also I ate 1 for lunch. So we'll say this is 15 servings. We'll say this one, we'll just say 8. So I'm trying to keep track and give you a number at the end. I did get 8 butter chickens plus the one my husband ate, which was 9. And then I did get 10 burritos. So that is a ton of food. What is that? 10 plus 8 plus 15 plus, what did I say this was? 8. 8 and 8 is 16. 15 and 10 is 25. Add that together, got 41 individual servings. So this was fantastic. This morning I also tried my hand at some protein bars and breakfast rolls, or breakfast balls. So I will have that video up either before or after this one. If you haven't seen it yet, be sure to check that one out because there was a huge epic fail. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new and haven't yet, please subscribe. I would love to see you here on the regular, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.